Hi, I'm Mike Malinowski. The amplifier on audition today is the KR Audio Kronzilla DXL, which is their top of the line, 140 watts per channel, push-pull tube amplifier, Class A, zero feedback, and it's a very unique piece. The Kronzillas are manufactured in the Czech Republic. The KR Audio began in the early 90s by Ricardo Kron. His passion was tubes, and there was a tube factory which he designed audio tubes. In fact, his design of the audio tube probably was some of the only audio designed in the latter half of the 20th century that were unique to audio, and he had that passion. He merged that passion later with actually producing the electronic equipment that his tubes were used in. Therefore, in order to maximize his design, he developed amplifiers and preamplifiers. Unfortunately, he was diagnosed with a terminal disease in the late 90s. He did have the time to turn over his design, and his wife and Merrick, the engineer, today run the company and produce new models. The model under consideration today is the Kronzilla DXL. The DXL is the most powerful amplifier in their lineup that uses the very, very special T1610 triode. Let's first talk about the amplifier's physical description. The amplifier is something that is very unique. There is nothing like it in the world, and the twin tubes that dominate the amp essentially command your attention, and really the T1610 triodes are the heart and the soul of this particular amplifier. When you look at the amplifier, you see the giant tubes, and we'll see that closer. They are massive. We'll talk about those a little bit later. Followed by two rectangular boxes on the top. And those two rectangular boxes, one contains the power supply and one contains the output transformer. Looking around the sides, the front is a textured black, very simple, elegant panel, a single push button on and off switch. The sides are heat sinks, which again play an integral role in this design, which we will get to. The rear is simplicity in itself: power input, speaker, single-ended input, balanced input, and a master power on and off switch. No other connections. What makes the physical description very, very interesting is not only what is seen, which is spectacular, but what's not seen. There are no potentiometers to control or adjust the bias, and specifically, there are no input tubes. There are no small tubes. There are no driver tubes, which tells you that there's something very special going on the inside, which we will get to. As I said, the tube is the heart and the soul of this particular amplifier, and it is quite special. It is also quite expensive at $2,300 per tube. This is not your garden variety output tube. It is exquisite, it is amazing, and the video that you're seeing does not do it justice. It has to be seen in person to be believed. This is an ultra-linear, high-power triode tube that is especially built for this particular series of amplifiers. There is no other use for this. This is not a plug-and-play replacement. This is not used in other brands of manufacturers. This is a very special KR audio tube. They're made by hand in the Czech Republic. They're made in the shop. This is the entire amp, and the tubes are all part of a proprietary KR audio process. When you tap on the side of the tube, you see that just the sound, the thunk. It is not a typical glass. The glass is very close to a glass similar to Pryex glass that's used in ovens. It's very rugged, it is very sturdy, and it should produce a very long life. The tubes are warranted for 2 years, and they have an expected life of about 10,000 hours. These tubes measure over 13 inches tall, and believe it or not, 11 inches in circumference. They have a shiny base of brass, and they are truly a visual statement. If these tubes were in a museum, they would not be out of place. Aside from their physical stature, which is amazing, the design of the tubes are very different from your average tube. One of the first things you noticed is that when you turn on the tube, there is no white light, yellow light, orange, red light emanating from them, as one might expect, and that is because the filament design is very unique. It's a ribbon based as opposed to a tungsten, a wire based. When we talked about the overall description, there was the lack of any other input tubes visible. Heat sinks on the side, no tubes, no drivers, nothing. The reason is this is a hybrid, or actually a reverse hybrid, and I understand that reverse hybrid might not be a formal term, but what it means in this particular amp is that the input is handled by the solid state, the output by the tubes. With 2 tubes per channel in a push-pull configuration, the amplifiers put out 140 watts per channel at 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Powers 4 ohm and 8 ohm speakers. The operations are as simple as it can be. There are 2 power switches. The master power switch is on the rear, that turns the power off and on for the entire amp, and there is a soft start switch on the front. The soft start switch, when it's pushed, turns red for approximately 10 seconds. It then turns green, and it is fully operational.